Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your old house? Things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Yeah, it's great. Weather's great. Everything's great. I mentioned yesterday a good bit about my past and photography and um, um, using the spent this weekend using the camera trying to take some still life, not necessarily portraits, mostly of the dogs, or also my child. But I forgot to mention that I've posted those, a good bit of those, on Instagram, which also copies over to my Twitter. So if you want to see stuff that I photograph, that's where you would go. In the past, I've used that space to share more workshop type stuff. When I'm building something, I take pictures with my phone and post those. But there will occasionally be, you know, going forward, shots that I'll be taking with, a good camera, not just my camera phone. And I talked about taking photography class in high school, and that was the last time I really like. It's not true. That's when I learned how to control exposure through various methods that you use on a camera. And I worked with film until probably around 2005. I was still shooting in film because I didn't have a digital camera. And then we were poor, and I couldn't really process the film that much. Maybe even a little later than that, actually, because I think my youngest or my oldest was like 3 or 4. So it was probably even maybe like 2007 or 2008 when I stopped shooting film. And then we got like a little pocket digital camera with one of those little printers, and we used that for a while. And then I just, I got a cell phone that took good pictures. And since that time, I've taken thousands of pictures with my cell phone, but never really went back to carrying a photography camera around, like a dedicated photography camera, and taking photography photos. So it's been a very long time. It's been, probably, it's definitely been over a decade, maybe more than 15 years since I've last thought about taking quality photographs, controlling aperture, controlling shutter speed, all that sort of stuff to try to get good results. And it showed when I did the I have not posted portrait pictures of my kid because I didn't ask for their permission. I don't like really posting super intimate pictures like that unless they say, "Dad, that's okay." And I'm also not happy with most of them. I think the lighting wasn't quite right. I wasn't in the right place. I couldn't get them positioned the way I wanted. I forgot basic shots that you should take when you're doing portrait photography like that. But overall, some of them were a little overexposed, some of them were a little underexposed. There's just a variety of issues with the pictures, and I haven't posted those. But I did post some pictures of dogs, and I thought those were great. But what this all is boiling down to is I found my high school photography class packets. These were packets that we had to make. This was his format. We had to, fold a 11 by 17 piece of paper and put our photographs in there, and we had this little layout like photography, my name, fourth period. This was in 1995, so that would have been my sophomore year, like I thought, maybe 1/22/95. That would have been the end of my freshman year, whatever, end of my sophomore year. For some reason, my social security number's on there, so we're not going to be showing that in detail. And then the rolls of footage, like when was this? So here's practice roll. We've got roll number 1, roll number 2, and roll number 4. Don't know where roll number 3 is, but the idea was that we would take the film from start to finish. So we had to wrap our own cartridges, which if you've never done that, you take a big roll of film tape, you put it in a black bag, a dark bag, put your hands in there, you can't see anything, and you have to roll this film onto cartridges, cut the end, make the leader, all that sort of stuff. We did that, put it in the cameras. We had old, I don't even know what kind of cameras we had. They were old ass full manual cameras, manual advance, everything, manual shutter, all that sort of stuff. We had to keep a log, which I believe, yep, I have my shooting log here. This talks about what f-stop I was using, what lens I was using, what filter I was using, my critiques of my final, my finished proof. This one, it says I lost the original sheet notebook. I made this one up, so I don't have my f-stops or my shutter speeds listed. It was a bright sunny day. I only took 5 pictures, which I believe I have the negatives for. Yep, I have negatives for those. And I have some of the pictures that I took. Flammable liquids was one of them. So this is really cool to look through because this was me learning about shutter speed, me learning about exposure, me learning how to make film look decent. And then we went into the dark room and we had to process these and make prints. And so for this one, you know, we had to make prints, and on the backs of all of these I had to say what I thought was right or wrong about this. We had to do time, like expose this in various time lengths so we could see what was going to be the best exposure, that sort of stuff. And then, you know, so for a lot of these I said, you know, I used a D76 developer, took out a developer early to give the effect of nothing but the words, which is what I did here. I just wanted to show nothing but the words, and so I underdeveloped this on purpose. So we had to take all of these notes and we had to put them all on this sheet, and we had to, you know, list our major things that we learned up front, like negatives were scratched or residue left on them from negative cleaning. Negatives appear to be flashed, not very dense. I don't know what the heck that means. With this particular thing, I ended up getting a score of 920 out of 1200. I didn't do so hot there. But by the time we got to roll 4, I scored a 1665 out of 1200. So I did really, really good there. And so this is what I was trying to talk about. If you don't know how your cameras work, there are 3 settings in your camera. Well, in a DSLR camera or a mirrorless that control the brightness of the photograph. You have your f-stop, that's the opening in the back of the lens. You have your shutter speed, that's how fast the shutter opens and closes, and then you have the ISO of the film. Now, back in the day when I did this, we had film, I think this is probably all shot on developers AC6. Yeah, this is 400 ISO film. So this was kind of a pretty standard, it works okay in sunlight, works okay inside speed film. Ideally, if you're outside taking bright shots, you want to be using 100. You want to use the lowest number you can, because the higher the number, the grainier, the less sharp the picture. And so learning all of this stuff, I kept my shutter speed at 60 this whole way, and I bumped my f-stops, shot the couple in 16, a couple in 11. Cloudy day, that sort of stuff. I got some negative points here because obviously some of these were not cloudy or whatever. I was inside to take an exit shot. There's pictures of houses. There's all kinds of sort of stuff in here. But this is, you know, this has been a journey. I've talked recently about having inspiration without motivation to act upon it, meaning that I've had a lot of ideas lately. I just haven't had the motivation to actually achieve any of those ideas or realize any of those ideas. But when I sat the other day, Em and I were cleaning the basement, and we went through some of these tubs, and we found, you know, for instance, a whole bunch of pictures from my time in the Marine Corps, a whole bunch of pictures of my roommates and me in a play that I did in Hawaii, and it kind of struck me that nobody else in any of those pictures had a camera. And because she said something like, she said, how many pictures like this do you think of you are out there, you know, in somebody else's house? And I said, I don't think there are any. Like, I don't think there's if you look at the photographs, I'm the only one with a camera. I carried my camera everywhere, and I took pictures all the time. And it's something that I've done that I wanted to do, you know, was to just catalog my existence. And I guess that really started where this is, you know, that was the birth of this, was that childhood desire to share my existence. And I don't know why. And I don't know why I stopped. I don't know why I stopped photography in particular, because I really enjoyed the art form of taking a well-composed shot, taking a well-exposed shot. And yeah, I don't know why I gave that up. Anyway, curious stuff. I'm probably going to have a look through it and just see what I can recall from some of these pictures, and see if I can translate any of that into better understanding of my artistic goals then versus my artistic goals now, and whether I can translate some of the information that's contained in these envelopes into working with my mirrorless camera. So, yeah, just wanted to share. You know, like always. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is mean. It is a noun meaning in arithmetic the average value of a series of numbers determined by taking the sum of a series and dividing it by the number of items in the series. The mean of the Bakersfield's fortune is nowhere near that of ours, but we are tolerate the family anyway because several members are excellent golfers. Mean. M-E-A-N. How can you have a mean... Oh, it's because they're a group of people and they make money. I see.